Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sport here on YouTube and Sportskeeda. And today we're going to be talking about WWE Rematchamania. I've got that name correctly, haven't I? Right, Andy? Oh no.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's actually called Stomping Grounds, which I think my name's better. I think I would rather call it Rematchamania because we're back to rematches, Andy, these days, even though WWE doesn't book rematches anymore. Oh dear. I mean, that's what a lot of WWE fans have been saying recently, and I think that's what a lot of fans will be saying going into the pay-per-view this weekend, because there's really only a few matches to look forward to, but nevertheless, myself and Andy will go through them for you right now. So starting off, Andy, with one of the most recent matches booked this week on SmackDown. SmackDown Tag Team Champions Daniel Bryan and Rowan taking on Heavy Machinery. And, well, this is just one of those matches I think that WWE had to book in order to try and satisfy fans a little bit. And I think just because of the short-term booking of it as well, I think Daniel Bryan and Rowan are going to retain, but I don't think it's going to be a clean win. I think it's going to be like one of those count-out kind of wins, no contest kind of wins, and we have another match down the line between Heavy Machinery and Daniel Bryan and Rowan. Typical heeled behavior, I think, to keep these NXT babyface tag team away for a little bit while longer, and they'll end up getting the procession up to the tag team gold later on in the summer. What you've got, Andy?
Yeah, no, I've got. I think Bryan and Eric Rowan retain in this one, but it's. Yeah, I think it kind of has to be a screwy finish just to carry on with some sort of feud, because the tag team division, what was such a massive part of SmackDown over the last 18 months or so, is redundant, is nothing. You've taken the New Day out of the equation by mainly having them being involved with Kofi in the main event picture. So they're not really competing for tag gold. They just have the odd tag match now and again. And you look at the rest of the SmackDown tag team roster, and it's poor. It's poor. They had the Usos kind of came back briefly as part of the wild card to challenge for the SmackDown titles. And it's, I think you have to keep on Bryan and Rowan. Just to carry it forward, and because there are no other challenges, you kind of need to keep Heavy Machinery in the mix. So yeah, I think it'll be a victory for D-Bry and Eric Rowan, but it'll be some sort of screwy finish, because if you do it definitively, then that takes Heavy Machinery out of the equation, and there is no one else.
Yeah. I think it is going to be screwy, and I think we're just going to have to keep on moving forward with these two feuding over the summer months. Talking about another tag team that seems to have appeared out of nowhere, really, although it has been around for some time, it's just hardly been talked about. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn taking on the Big E and Xavier Woods of the New Day. Another one really booked on the fly just over the past few weeks, with the two teams really kicking off their feud. Because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn didn't travel to Saudi Arabia, so we didn't have those kind of conflicts happening in Super Showdown. So now we've got the New Day members taking on Owens and Zayn, and I think with momentum really not being needed for the New Day right now, because they got Kofi Kingston as the champion, I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will win this one, and I think it will continue on a feud between these two, with one of them maybe eventually going on to face Heavy Machinery down the line when they become eventual tag team champions. But I think for now, I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will win, for then Big E and Xavier Woods to get one over them, and then they have a final rubber match at SummerSlam later on. I think that's the storyline I see it going. Potentially even an Extreme Rules stipulation match between the two of them. As of right now, it doesn't look like anything in particular, but I just think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are going to come out on top of winners in this one. Andy, what have you got?
Yeah, no, totally. Like I said, it doesn't really hurt the New Day, but it's just more importantly that KO and Sami Zayn need a win, need victories. It seems that since both men had returned to action, neither have really had that many wins, especially Sami Zayn. He just seems to have lost. KO's had the odd win here or there. Obviously, he had his crack at Kofi Kingston's world title, but it's just Daniel Bryan's world title, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah.
Kofi won it. And then Kofi Kingston. I think those guys, they need the win. more than New Day do at this point in time. New Day are pretty much Teflon, as in they could lose 3 months on the bounce, Big E and Xavier Woods, and it probably wouldn't make that much difference to their stock. So yeah, I think you need a win here for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and then I don't know what you do, whether you keep them as a tag team going forward, or it seems almost a waste in a way, especially with Kevin Owens. I think there's so much untapped potential there as a top tier babyface, to be honest. But either way, I think that KO and Sami get the win.
Samoa Joe defending his United States Championship finally against Ricochet. A forgotten title really in the WWE over the past couple of weeks because of the whole issue going on with Rey Mysterio and his injuries and things like that. Kind of killed the momentum of it. But Samoa Joe now back as champion and taking on someone like Ricochet. This is the match, Andy, that I'm looking forward to the most because I'm a big fan of Ricochet and I think he could do well on the WWE roster. I think as well, we need to see how he does with a title around his waist in the WWE Climax. Because we all know what he can do on the indie scene. He's a fantastic indie wrestler, but does he fit the WWE market? We've had plenty of indie wrestlers come into the WWE and not been able to succeed. Indie wrestlers coming into the WWE that haven't been able to succeed on the indie market do succeed in WWE. So now it'll be, I think, time to see what Ricochet has to offer. And I think Ricochet is going to win this and capture the United States Championship. And this will be the feud that ties over the summer for the United States Championship between Samoa Joe and Ricochet. I could see another challenger coming in later on in the line, potentially at SummerSlam, make it like a triple threat or something like that. Not too sure who exactly yet, but the momentum at the moment seems to be swinging towards Cesaro. So, a triple threat between Cesaro, Ricochet, and Samoa Joe would be a SummerSlam delight, I think, for some people. But in my opinion, on this night at Stomping Grounds, I think Ricochet is going to win the United States Championship against Samoa Joe. What have you got?
I think out of all the matches on the card, I think this one's the hardest to call. I could feasibly see it going either way, but I do think Samoa Joe's going to retain. But I agree with you in the fact that I think this is going to be the feud that's going to carry over the United States title over the summer into SummerSlam and maybe beyond. I think the two they'll carry on feuding. I think Samoa Joe will win, probably by questionable means, setting up the rematch. Ricochet, you'd imagine, would likely get the belt somewhere down the line. But I think it's a big match for Ricochet. I think it's a big match as well for Samoa Joe because he does well as that bully, and Ricochet's a great underdog who's got such an amazing comeback offense. So I think, totally agree with you in that it's probably, I'd say it's shaping up on paper anyway to be the match of the night. It's the one I'm looking forward to the most. But I think Joe retains here. But then I wouldn't be surprised if it went to Ricochet. But I think my money's going on Samoa Joe.
All right, Cruiserweight Championship time. Tony Nese, Akira Tozawa, and Drew Gulak taking each other on in the triple threat for the title. Tony Nese, Andy, for me, he's been a bit under par really since winning the title at WrestleMania. I don't think he's really stood out in a way, and I think he needs a step back in order to rejuvenate himself. So I think as well, I think Drew Gulak potentially could win this one and win the title, give something for Tony Nese to chase over the summer, see how he is as a babyface on the chase. But overall, I think as well, we need to take into consideration just how good of a heel sometimes Drew Gulak can be. And I think this will be the perfect opportunity to see exactly what he's got, because he could be one of those, I say these days, cruiserweights that could eventually make the jump to the main roster and be a good heel. But Cedric Alexander hasn't exactly set the main roster. Exactly.
Yeah, Mr. 24/7 chasing. Oh, what a waste! They don't even address him by name. It's just he's in the crowd of people going after R-Truth or Drake McIntyre now. It's like, what a waste.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Drew Gulak, I think he has potential to be a good heel on the main roster. Top mid card, I think, is the ceiling for him at the moment. But we could put the Cruiserweight Championship on him and see how he does as a top heel in a title picture. And see if he's able to carry it and bring it momentum. And I think now would be the perfect time to see what exactly we've got as Drew Gulak as a champion. So I think now's the time for him to win the title and to go on a little bit of a feud with Tony Nese, chasing him in as typical babyfaces do in the WWE these days. What have you got?
I'm not too sure with this one. I love Drew Gulak. He's the sort of wrestler that I grew up on. the Bret Hart, the Regal, the Chris Benoit, the Dean Malenko, those guys that work body parts, and it's a science to them. It's like Daniel Bryan does. So I could watch Gulak all day. I think he's fantastic. Tony Nese in ring is amazing as well. Just I don't know. He's
great in ring. It's just his promos don't do it for me.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is. There's a lack of charisma, and he's not really. He was the arrogant, cocky heel with the counting the 8 abs. When he's turned face, it was one of those weird babyface turns where he got turned on by another heel. So by default, he was the babyface when Buddy Murphy screwed him over. And he's not really changed his persona that much. I think that there's a lot needs to be done to his character. I don't know though. I think I wouldn't be surprised from watching the last 2 weeks of 205 Live has been brilliant. Particularly with Chad Gable turning up last week.
Yeah,
which we had a great match. Jack Gallagher. They messed up the finish a little bit, but the match itself was fantastic. So I think Gable's.
Oh, Andy. Hello.
Difference then? Yeah, I just got a phone call. Totally.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can edit it. Don't worry.
Yeah, no worries.
Or may not. I may not. Yeah, you never know.
No, I think Chad Gable, you'd be looking at him to possibly lead the division down the line, and you think for that you need him to take the belt off a heel naturally if you go with normal logic. So Gulak, I can make a good case for Gulak. But then you're thinking, why is Tozawa been thrown into the mix with that the double pin that they had when they had the number 1 contender match? I don't know. I think the cruiserweight division's murky at the moment. But I think. I really don't know who to pick on this one. I like Drew Gulak, but I've got a feeling they might go with Tozawa again, just to try and give a bit of, just a bit of spark, a bit of energy in terms of a character.
I just don't think Tozawa is going to get that chance because, otherwise Oscar and Kairi Sane would have been given more chances and things like that, but WWE just doesn't want to go in that direction. Shinsuke Nakamura is another one as well,
No, I agree with that. I can see the arguments you're making with that, but that's on the main roster.
even the last time he was Cruiserweight champion, they put Titus O'Neil with him. I mean, of all people, I give all credit to Titus O'Neil. He's a fantastic human being, the work that he does outside of WWE, but he's not a manager. So
the difference there though is that's when the cruiserweight title was the cruiserweight division was appearing on the main roster on Monday Night Raw, and it's not. And so you think with Vince, he's probably looking at Tozawa thinking, oh, too fair. Tozawa's English is great, but Vince McMahon being Vince McMahon is probably looking at him and thinking, oh, what? Let's rack my brain of Asian stereotypes from years gone by. Yeah, he needs a big guy with him. Let's put Titus with him. I think now because 205 is essentially its own show, it's not got any affiliation to the main roster. I think it falls into that same bracket as NXT and NXT UK where it's not under Vince McMahon's watch per se. So you can look at, if you're going to go with the Asian route, you look at what's happened with Io Shirai in NXT recently, with Kairi Sane, with Asuka, with Shinsuke Nakamura, with Kushida who's there now. So same person. So yeah, I think that argument for Tozawa isn't there. That negative isn't there. Now at 205, it's a separate entity, but whether he wins or not, I still don't really know. I'm just thinking in terms of if you want to, the last couple of weeks of 205 has been a ball of energy and really good wrestling. And you're thinking if you want to go forward with a focal point that gets fans engaged in the match, that isn't a heel, then Tozawa's the obvious choice in this. It's just like you said, last time he was champ. 205 Live champ, Cruiserweight champ, it wasn't really a reign to remember, and everybody was clamouring for Neville to get it, which obviously was great, and we miss him to this day. Yes.
I mean, he doesn't even want to wrestle for AEW these days. I mean, who is he going to wrestle for?
He does. It's just, I can see his point that the fact of he doesn't want to lose the belt. He doesn't want to lose when he's Dragon Gate champion, which makes sense. It makes sense. But I was looking forward to seeing him in Hangman Page, which we did get, but it felt like a lackluster. It's just like, we'll give him this random show to appease the internet fans who are bitching that it's no longer on Double or Nothing. Anyway,
we've had many interruptions already in Cruiserweights. What's one more going to do any harm? Nevertheless, let's move on then. Roman Reigns.
This we talked about the most.
Yes. Only because people are calling you. That's why.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Continue on from their WrestleMania. One of only a couple of WrestleMania rematches on this card. Roman Reigns, of course, won at WrestleMania. However, he lost against Shane McMahon at Super Showdown thanks to interference from Drew McIntyre. And then also the two have been in confrontations with one another over the past couple of weeks on Raw and SmackDown, including with with Roman Reigns standing tall at the end of Raw the previous day, and Drew McIntyre getting his bit as well in on SmackDown too. So, Andy, where are you going with this, really? Because I'm struggling to pin it exactly where I think it could go, because it's just another odd booking. I mean, forever WWE has seen Drew McIntyre as essentially the chosen one, as by Vince McMahon. And, this second time around, he's got the physique, he's got the stance, he's got the promos under bag, he's standing on his own rather than being part of a stable. He's looking good against Shane McMahon too as well, looking like the big brute that he should be. But yet they're booking him against Roman Reigns, and you think Roman Reigns can't lose again, can he? With SummerSlam just around the corner.
I think he can, and I think he will. I think it's all part of a slow drip-free process where, because am I right in thinking there's Extreme Rules as well before SummerSlam?
Yes, it is Extreme Rules. Yeah.
I think that's why Drew can afford, as in Roman can afford to lose this one. I think Drew needs it more because every match he's had with Roman Reigns has beat him. And this is what they've done. I think, is this the third rematch? Might even be the fourth rematch they've done since Mania. So you're thinking Drew needs that win. He's gone massively off track. Technically, he's still a Raw superstar, even though the wild card rule means absolutely the roster split is redundant essentially now, and especially what happened to the 4 members of any roster can go. Yeah, that's a whole other argument. So point being, Drew McIntyre is a Raw superstar who is in need of some big wins, and Seth Rollins is potentially somebody who's going to be looking for heels to defend his belt against going forward for the rest of the year. Drew McIntyre is a prime candidate for that. So I think Drew needs to win. I think Roman, it doesn't hurt him if he does lose. I sincerely doubt it'll be a clean loss. And then he can get his win back maybe at Extreme Rules before then the inevitable Shane McMahon match down the line at SummerSlam. So I think McIntyre gets the win, and I think Roman can lose this.
Yeah, I think McIntyre's going to get the win as well. I think when we look at it on a bigger, broader scale, I think the direction that you just mentioned there is the right one to go down. With Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns is one of those characters now in WWE where, he can eat a loss very comfortably and still be able to bounce back it from quite quickly, because, they can just book him on Raw or SmackDown to deliver a beatdown like they did this past week. Attacking Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre on Raw. And
the Revival.
And the Revival as well. Yeah.
Your tag team champions.
Yeah.
Your tag team champions, arguably, one of your very top heels in terms of in-ring in McIntyre, and then the smarmy heel in Shane McMahon. All 4 can't stand the wrath of Roman Reigns.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Andy. I think McIntyre's going to win this one, and we'll have some sort of stipulation match to make sure that, despite the interference, that it's going to be settled once and for all. There's going to be no disqualification or anything like that. So yeah, McIntyre to win this one for me on the night, but it's going to continue on this feud. Bayley defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Alexa Bliss. An odd booking, despite the fact that there's plenty of women on SmackDown that could easily go into this match if you want to. Not named Charlotte Flair. Instead, they go with Alexa Bliss, and this whole situation with her and Nikki Cross, it seemed as though those two would eventually go on to face the Iconics for the Women's Tag Teams Championships, but instead Alexa Bliss is being pushed towards the SmackDown Women's Championship instead, and it looks like the team could split up at any moment, especially if Alexa Bliss blames Nikki Cross for the loss, which it seems as though they're going to go in that direction, because I just don't see how on earth they can put the SmackDown Women's Championship on Alexa Bliss, despite the fact that she's on Raw. It's like, oh, she moves over to SmackDown now. Oh, look at this lazy booking. Oh, we've got plenty of women in the women's SmackDown division, but we can't be bothered to book them correctly. But I think Bayley's going to win this, Sandy. I think it's going to be one of those wins as well where we could see it being cut up for time. because I just don't think WWE respects the women's championship in the SmackDown division at the moment. So I'm gonna go for Bayley, but I don't think it's gonna be one of the highlights of the night at all. I just think it's gonna be one of those dreary matches that WWE puts out just to make up time. So what have you got?
No, I've got Bayley retaining. But while I wasn't that fussed about the match itself, the promo this week on SmackDown between the two, the Moment of Bliss segment, I really enjoyed that, and it got me looking forward to the match a bit more. There's a bit more fire behind it, and from what both the ladies were saying, as in Bayley and Alexa, it was one of those sort of promos where there's elements of truth tricked in, which will more often than not make for the better promos. So I really enjoyed that. It has got me a bit more excited for the match. But yeah, I think it's almost giving them too credit to say it wouldn't make sense to lose the belt to Alexa, because then, as you mentioned, clearly there's going to be that kind of fractured friendship between Alexa and Nikki Cross that's going to explode Mega Power style down the line. So if that is happening and Alexa's got the belt on SmackDown and Nikki's still Raw superstar, that wouldn't work. So yeah, Bayley wins. Who she feuds with next, I don't know. I lost track of who even, like, what ladies are on SmackDown now, because there's the oh my god, I can't even think of the name. That awful name they gave to Asuka and Kairi Sane. The
Kabuki Warriors. Yeah.
There's those ladies who are seemingly in a tag team now. The singles ranks, you've got the Iconics that appear on Raw most weeks anyway. So it's like, if you're looking at that, you've got Carmella, who I think is still on SmackDown but is with R-Truth. So it's like,
Charlie Chaplin, you mean? Not Carmella.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Carmella Chaplin. So they are just waiting for Charlotte to return. So they go like, oh, there you go. You and Bayley have a bit of a feud now. So yeah, Bayley retains. I think that's one of the easier calls on the card.
Let's flip over now to the Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans. Another rematch from Money in the Bank. And
first things first, Colin Porter. Why storyline wise does Lacey Evans deserve this rematch? I'm not too sure.
I don't know. I can't answer you that for you, Andy, because I'm just as outraged as you.
Back yet? Is that it? It's like I don't know.
She's won a match since the booking of the match, if that counts to anything. But strictly saying, it doesn't, because it happened after. She didn't win a match between Money in the Bank and the booking of the match date against Becky Lynch to earn such a title match. So yeah, I'm as puzzled as you are, Andy. I think this is just an overextension of WWE once more, realizing that they are booking things incorrectly and need to make sure that feuds are finished and done with, so then they can come to revisit them later once they built up characters. I think Lacey Evans is fine as an in-ring performer, but in no case whatsoever is she ready for such a prowess position in the women's position of leading it with the women's championship. And I think she needs to take back a step and potentially feud with, someone like Natalya, a bit more longer term. Naomi on Raw too could give her a good push as well. So I think there's plenty of avenues for Lacey Evans to go down in to eventually rebuild herself, to come back to face Becky Lynch or whoever is champion for the title later on down the line. But I just don't see any other win than any other direction than a Becky Lynch win on the night. So I think Becky Lynch is going to retain. What have you got?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a bit of a fan of Lacey Evans. I don't know, since I first saw her when she was in the Mae Young Classic, she kind of struck a chord in terms of she's very much a character, and sometimes. Yeah, it's all well and good to have a nice, serious wrestler character, but sometimes it's fun to have a character. I think they're missing
a trick, because with her whole military background, they've got to play in this classic woman of the South, that when World War II was happening, she was at home doing things for her husband while her husband was gone fighting. It just doesn't make sense. It should be the other way around. They should be exploiting her military background, showing how tough a woman she is, and she wore the military personnel attire in NXT. Why not bring that back? Why is she just coming out in dresses all the time? It just doesn't make sense for me, in my opinion. And I think
I agree. It's like they mixed up too much with the character. It's like if you're gonna mention her military background, it's hard to do her as a heel. You have to go with a babyface, especially when the majority, like 95% of the shows, are in America. Unless you go with she's been in the military and she's better than you because of that. But to then introduce her as this sassy Southern belle who's all about classic values of yesteryear. If you're going to do that, you don't need to don't mention the military stuff at all. Keep that separate. But I found it very strange on Raw this week when her promo when she confronted Becky and she was talking about what she's been through in the military. And this is a woman who supposedly has got confirmed kills, who's seen some horrible things. And it's like, if you're going to have her do this promo interrupting Becky Lynch, talking about what she's seen, what she's done, all the military background, how do you expect people to not boo her? To not cheer her? It's like, it just seemed, it made Becky look like a bit of a dick to kind of be confronting her. And yeah, she acknowledged that, okay, I'm not going to dispute what you've done before, but you're trash now, I think it was what she said. It's like, it seemed like something you didn't need to mention. But no, I like it. I do like her as a performer, as a character, but I think Becky is getting this one. And again, it's where do they go from here? You mentioned Naomi then on Raw. I forgot she was even on Raw. It's like she's not been seen. Natalya, I couldn't tell you where she was, whether it was Raw or SmackDown. It's embarrassing how little they focused on some of all the women, apart from literally 4 or 5 women out of the whole female roster they've got on both brands.
Sasha Banks is supposed to be on Raw too, but we haven't seen her for a few months. Hopefully she returns, because it looks like we definitely need her in the women's division.
I think that might be next. That's if she's ready to return, if they've sorted out their problems, if she's not spat a dummy, if she's not quit. I don't know. But you're thinking that's the next, all being well, that'd be your next logical challenger as a heel, as the boss for Becky. We'll
it's boss time, as Michael Cole would say.
Yeah.
WWE Championship match between Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler inside a steel cage this time around. Of course, the two first faced each other at Super Showdown. Kofi Kingston managed to win that match. I think it was due to some sort of altercation with Xavier Woods around the outside of the ring. Ish. But yeah, this is more than enough for WWE to book a rematch. And Dolph Ziggler, once more is in the world title shot again. And it looks as though I don't think he's going to win. So Kofi Kingston, I think, is going to win this one, Andy. I think he's going to continue on. We need a bigger heel to take the title off him than Dolph Ziggler, in my opinion, Andy. Dolph Ziggler is a great performer in the ring, but he's not the top heel. And I think we need to move on from this feud as quickly as possible. So I think Kofi Kingston's going to win this one, Andy. Yeah,
no, I totally agree. I think everybody's with Dolph when he's resurfaced lately. I think everybody expects it to be a short run as well. So that takes away the thought process of like, maybe he will win the belt, when the rest of your brain's going, yeah, but he's probably going to disappear again off TV in 2 weeks. And there's so many times they've had the chance to go all in on Dolph Ziggler and they've totally fumbled it. Dolph, I wouldn't say Dolph particularly dropped the ball himself. I just think they've had moments where they could seize on momentum behind him, such as the Survivor Series when he was the last man standing with that whole thing in 2014. And he did nothing. That led to nothing. Sting came out, Dolph got the win, Dolph standing tall with Sting. Nothing. Nothing at all. So yeah, no, I think Kofi wins. I think that's as clear cut as it is. Simple. And that's the definitive end of the feud.
Yeah, I saw this video the other day of Dolph Ziggler's promo. It should have been me. And someone had linked as well to the same video a Batista promo as well from when John Cena was pushed towards the WWE Championship. And Batista sitting there in the wheelchair or whatnot going, it should have been me. I was like, this is just another occasion where WWE is rehashing their content from the past and bringing it towards the future and expecting no one to notice. But yeah, it was picked up that time. Universal Championship match, Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin. When is the referee going to be announced? Nobody knows, because it's never advertised correctly. They said it was going to be announced on Monday, never happened. And now we're going into the weekend and still don't know who the special guest referee is going to be. Probably going to be someone overwhelming. Or it's probably going to be someone like Brock Lesnar, but I don't think they could fit a referee uniform over Brock Lesnar because I think he's quite big, you know. So I don't know if they'd have any referee shirts in his size particularly. Maybe they'll just have to go to the back and get some black paint over a white shirt and paint it with stripes to the back.
I don't know, dude. Drake Younger, the former NXT referee, now on, I think he's on Raw. He's one stat guy because he obviously used to be a wrestler.
Yeah, he's not the same size as Brock Lesnar.
Nowhere near Lesnar, but I think if he got one of his loose shirts, maybe. But
plus, if Brock Lesnar's going to wear a referee uniform, he's going to have the sleeves cut off as well. Yes. You know that's going to happen. You know, so it's but less about that for now. We'll get back to Lesnar in a second. Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin. This match has only been booked because Baron Corbin doesn't like the fact that the referees answer back to him when he's been an idiot to them and could easily get disqualified from a match for doing so. But, you know, WWE logic once more strikes again. Seth Rollins has to win this match, Andy. I don't see how they could put the title on Baron Corbin and expect no one to backlash against it. Baron Corbin's just once again being booked ever so poorly, really, in my opinion, towards the goal that WWE wants him to be, which is a top heel on the roster. You know, it didn't work against Roman Reigns, and it's not working now against Seth Rollins. I just don't. They need to go back to the drawing board once more and think how they're going to book Baron Corbin to the top of the WWE, because that's where they want to take him, but it's not working out. I think Seth Rollins wins this match, Andy. What have you got?
Yeah, no, Seth retains. With Corbin, it's a tricky one because I mean, it depends what you expect from a heel. He's one of the few people who gets genuine heat from a crowd. Nobody can stand him. Everybody wants to see him get a beating. But it's that fine line of, like, it borders on, as they used to call it, X-Pac heat, which is harsh because I really like Sean Montman. But that kind of turn off heat, turn the channel heat, where it's like, oh, it's Baron Corbin. Nah, what else is on? Or fast forward. And it's again logic. I don't know why I question logic in WWE. I should know by now. But the fact of what, Baron Corbin did, he just basically made the match himself. That was the thing. Yeah. Like, oh, I got screwed by the referee at Super Showdown, so I'm gonna have a rematch. Like, oh right, okay, cool. Didn't realise you were still acting GM or whatever that stuff was. It's, as you said right at the start of this video, rematchamania is running wild, brother. Mm-hmm. And this is a match that nobody really wanted to see in the first place, and now we're seeing it for a second time in the space of 10 days, 2 weeks. And there's that small dangling of a carrot of maybe Lesnar gets involved, and I think people are past caring now. It's like the boy that cried wolf sort of thing, where Brock Lesnar's going to be on Raw this week, so going to cash in. Oh, he's going to be on Raw next week and cash in. Oh, he's going to be in Saudi Arabia and cash in, and people are just don't care. I think this is the whole pay-per-view itself is just something that I think the WWE themselves just want to get past. They'd already, with the Saudi Arabia show, they knew this was coming up straight after, and it was a case of, right, well, almost culminate a lot of the storylines from Saudi Arabia, apart from the women, obviously, because they're not allowed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. It was almost like a culmination of storylines from Saudi Arabia at Stomping Grounds, and then you're looking at maybe a clean slate going forward and fresh feuds. I kind of gone way off tangent there. Seth Rollins wins. Yay! As for the referee, I don't know. Couldn't
care less, to be honest, in my opinion, right now.
Lesnar's, again, probably the one that's the carrot they dangle, is like Brock Lesnar could be the ref. But it's probably going to be something like Bobby Lashley. That's it.
The other possible referee that I could think of, actually two of them, because one of them was there this week behind scenes on Raw, and the other has always had the controversial past. Potentially John Cena, just to bring in a bit more value to the pay-per-view. It wouldn't make much sense, but this is typical WWE booking. So John Cena for one. And also the name of the controversial referee that's always bringing up
Armstrong.
Armstrong, yeah.
Armstrong, yeah. Our body ref Armstrong.
You mentioned about the whole Survivor Series with Sting, and it just reminded me of the Triple H coming down to the ring and doing the whole thing, and then calling the referee down, and it's like, oh, it's Armstrong, that cocky referee. I could just imagine Baron Corbin, you know, being behind the scenes during the pay-per-view, paying some unknown figure, and then Scott Armstrong comes running down to the ring before the match starts, and it's like, oh no, it's
Brad Maddox. It could be Brad Maddox.
Oh,
why not?
Please.
Let's bring Brad Maddox back.
No.
He's probably working one of the cameras, I might say at this point.
Right. 2 trivia questions for you, Andy.
Yes.
Well, actually, you know, if you want to do a third, if whoever that special guest referee you think is going to be, who do you think it's going to be?
God, I don't care. I'm staring up into the distance, like that Macho Man Randy Savage meme. I'm like, yeah, just thinking. I honestly think it's probably just going to be. It's going to be underwhelming. It's probably going to be Bobby Lashley, or it depends, because you're thinking it could set up Rollins' next feud. So you're thinking, could it maybe be McIntyre somehow? But then, no, it's not going to be a big heel.
Those two went on good terms last time, if I remember correctly. Corbin and McIntyre.
The way to screw over Rollins, but then if you screw over Rollins, that means Rollins loses the belt, and that's not going to happen. So it's going to be somebody insignificant, like, unfortunately, Bobby Lashley. That's my guess.
Okay, the second one, already touched on this already. Is Brock Lesnar going to cash in Money in the Bank? No. I agree as well. I don't think no. And then the third one is a bit more fun. Of course, this past week, the 24/7 Championship changed hands. Drake Maverick, dressing up as Carmella, managed to fool R-Truth in all ways and won the title and drove off into the distance to come back to the arena later on to do 2055.
Well, that is where you're wrong, technically.
Is it pre-recorded?
He did a pre-recorded thing to open 205 Live. It was almost just like, oh my god, continuity, this is crazy. But like I said, 205 Live is a separate entity, so it's like the people doing that kind of have a bit more sense and logic. I keep saying logic, but yeah. Sorry. So,
but how many times does the 24/7 title change hands at Stomping Grounds?
See, that's the thing, because supposedly Drake Maverick is getting married this weekend, so it's like, would he get married and then turn up on say on the Saturday and then go to the pay-per-view on the Sunday?
Well, I actually saw some reporters saying, imagine if he gets pinned at the altar.
That would be fair. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses it sometime before the pay-per-view. That would be perfect. That would be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot. So no, I think the title will appear. Probably not on Drake Maverick. So I think he will lose at some point, and if that's how it happens, I think that'd be great. Make for great television. How many times will it change hands on the pay-per-view? I'm gonna go low key, not the gruff, hard as nails wrestler who's apparently a bit of a dick. I'm gonna go low key and say, I'm gonna say 2 times. 2 times.
Ah, no, I was gonna say 2 times. Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for 3 then. I'm going to go for the over. Therefore, you know, if it changes 1 or 2 times or 0 times, you get the win. 3 or more, it's me. All right, that's our predictions for Stomping Grounds. What's your predictions for the matches and any for our trivia questions as well? Let us know in the comment section below this video.